for those folks who don't know, as a result of the massive number and scale of the corruption sort of scandals, there's now been a decree under which the UAW will be observed by a monitor and a variety of other officers for the coming 6 years. And there's a variety of things UAW has to do as part of that, one of which is hold a referendum on one member, one vote. And folks who have thought about this more than me probably can suggest the ways that, in fact, we need to make sure that the voices of members, not just the current leadership, are heard when they're drafting the language of this referendum, the who's permitted to vote in this referendum, whether that includes retirees or a very narrow group, which is probably what the current administration caucus will want. So there's a lot open about that referendum. I think that's its own set of issues. So I think the first step is folks that are positive about this campaign and open to it, actually voting to endorse one member, one vote language. And then we'll have the task of convincing folks that are more ambivalent.
Well, I think we have to think about why we want more democracy and how it's a necessary tool to make our union be the union that we need to advance our interests. We have to have a whole rectification take place inside the UAW. It's just needs to be overhauled from top to bottom so that not only is corruption rooted out and future corruption prevented, but we have a leadership that has a close connection to the rank and file, to where our union is really driven by the rank and file and not by leaders that are very well paid and have a closer relationship with the companies than with the members that they represent. We need a democratic union. That is not the answer in and of itself, but is essential and is what we need as a starting place.
I can't stress enough, this is probably the most important moment in the history of the UAW, without a doubt. This whole one member, one vote campaign, there's not going to be another event that will eclipse this one. Because if we don't win this election, what happens is we in effect codify the old convention delegate system of electing the top leaders of the UAW. And that's a system that we don't want because that leads to stifling dissent and oppressing people. So we've got to get through this first stage before we can even talk about electing members to the top positions of the UAW. We've got to pass one member, one vote. And then once we're able to do that, then we can concentrate on actually changing the union, changing the leadership of the union, and making structural changes to the UAW so it can become a democratic union.
Just old school member to member, walking around the shop floor, talking it up to people, directing them to the UAWD.org, flyers, the web pages. Most locals have Facebook. Young guys like Andrew and his crew probably do a lot on Facebook. Get her done. Like you said, we kind of have a time crunch on this one. And I do hope that we can break up into some subcommittees and talk about some of those amendments that we have to get done for the convention next year. Resolutions and amendments. It's going to be critical, as Mike said, changing the structure of the UAW, making it more democratic, putting in some permanent fixes so this kind of corruption will never rear its ugly head again in this great union of ours. We certainly need to take it back, reform it, and then start growing and building our power, our members, and that's through organizing. And thank God that we have academia coming on board, because the old school manufacturing has been doing nothing but dropping off the face of the earth. It's been a pretty rapid failure, I think, of leadership, of this international union for decades now. We had them, again, GM going on strike last year. We had them on the ropes. We should have brought everybody in under one national agreement, as our Constitution calls for. People engaged in similar work with the same employer should be one agreement. There should not be two wage scales and benefits. So yeah, I look forward to getting this done, but spreading the word, one member, one vote, first and foremost.
What do you all think is the right way to approach pushing sort of fence sitting locals into actually passing these resolutions about one member, one vote?
Well, personally, I think that the best approach to that is going to be from the shop floor. A lot of the leadership is you know, either hoping to get a staff position or afraid of the consequences of passing such a resolution. But from the shop floor, I think we see a lot of courage from the members of the UAW. GM workers went on strike. The International Union still got paid while they were on strike, but they were getting $200 a week in strike pay and benefits. So we know that there's courage and commitment on the shop floor to improve our standard of living. And, you know, this is part of that. And if we can get that across, we can bring those resolutions out from the shop floor. One problem we have right now is the lack of union meetings. Right now, I'm pushing for Zoom meetings for our local union, but so far I haven't been successful at that. They don't want to do it. They prefer to rule by fiat. So, you know, I've appealed that and waiting on the public review board to take that up. But so that, you know, that was a great question, Andrew, and thanks for asking it.